What up, everybody? It's the Rottweiler Patriots. I'm Vegas,
And I'm T-Bone.
and we're coming at you with another video today where we're going to be reacting to the first week of free agency for the New England Patriots. Definitely a lot going on for them, a lot to do. Not as many big moves as people were hoping, but I'm so far have been pretty happy with it, and we'll kind of jump into it here. We'll start with, of course, the players who are leaving the team, and then the players who we have not re-signed back to the team yet, and we'll just kind of go over each of these. Mac Jones, of course, traded to Jacksonville. Would have liked to have gotten a little more for him than we did, but I understand why he didn't generate that much attention, even though I think he's better than most people give him credit for. Devontae Parker was released, later signed by Philadelphia. Very happy with that decision. Get him off the team. Last in separation in the league 4 years in a row. Bye-bye, Devontae. Mr. Fingertips. Mike Gesicki, free agent, signed with Cincinnati. I mean, not a big loss, but a guy who I think has potential. I actually think Cincinnati's going to be a very good spot for him. So, and honest, I like the guy. I'll be rooting for him, even though he's no longer a Patriot. So, Pharaoh Brown, signed by Seattle, was hoping we'd re-sign him. Seattle made it happen, though, so we'll no longer have Pharaoh Brown on the team. Lawrence Guy released. I think that's a necessary decision. Had his moments, but I think is better off no longer a Patriot. Mac Wilson Sr. signed by the Arizona Cardinals. Was hoping we'd maybe get him back, but not too upset about that loss. Arizona, I think, is going to get a solid linebacker with him. Chris Board, listed as a linebacker, more of a special teams player, was released, and I found that to be an interesting decision because the general consensus was that he was pretty good in special teams for us, but we've decided we no longer want him on our team, so someone is going to get a solid special teams piece somewhere else. He has not signed with anyone yet. J.C. Jackson was released. That's really a cap move. We say $14 million in cap and incur zero dead cap. Some people are saying we should re-sign him. I don't want to re-sign him. Jalen Mills, free agent, signed by the Giants, was hoping we could lock him up, but ended up in New York. Giants got themselves a pretty good player, I think. Adrian Phillips released. I like that decision. Phillips has not done much for us. Matthew Slater retired. Congratulations on an excellent career, Matthew. Thank you for everything you brought to New England, and enjoy your well-earned retirement. Now moving over to the unsigned free agents, running back Ezekiel Elliott. I would not mind if we re-sign him. I think you have Stevenson, Gibson, Elliott. That's pretty good core of wide receivers. If one guy goes down, you still got two guys who you can rely on. Obviously, we'll see what happens given that we do have Gibson, and he'll probably slot in as wide receiver 2 over Elliott. But I still would not mind him back in New England. Trey Nixon, I mean, if you want him on your practice squad, I guess. No one's really going to be interested in him. He never did anything here. Riley Rife, unfortunate what happened with him last year. Injuries just got the best of him. Never really got a chance to play. And just given everything that's happened, I probably don't want him back. I think our interior offensive line is pretty well set up as it is. Trent Brown, offensive tackle, put in many good years of service, but he is gone, and both he and the Patriots have said they're not coming back. So it's not because he's not officially been signed by another team, he hasn't been listed as a departure yet, but he will no longer be a Patriot, and I am quite frankly happy for that. Terrace Hall, signed. I mean, really practice squad guy. I don't know much about him, but I doubt he'll make any noise. Miles Bryant, cornerback, a guy who I was hoping we would re-sign. I think he's earned himself that. He was a very good player for us. He was able to do a lot of different things in the past year, especially with all the injuries we had. So, hoping that we're going to make a move on him. T-Bone, what are your thoughts on all of this for New England?
Really, I genuinely was surprised by the Mac Jones trade. Kind of a not. That's just kind of He's not sticking around in Jacksonville. I know that.
You don't think he'll
So
stay around? You don't think he'll win the starting job over Trevor Lawrence?
no, no, I think he's going to bounce around. I think he'll go to a third team sometime. Other than that, I know some of the guys you wanted to keep, Pharaoh Brown and etc. And maybe you want to try and keep Ezekiel Elliott for that three back duo, which is really cool. I'm glad you brought that up. Very rarely do you have a really harmonious uh, two back duo. I mean, you can get I'd say on average, there might be at most 10 teams every year that have a somewhat harmonious two back duo. Having a third one in there, adding that's very difficult. And you're exactly right. The Pats could very well be able to pull it off, and that'd be very nice. It'd very much help you in the run game. Easily. You've got Stevenson, Zeke, and Gibbons, and I like that. I like that a lot. You really, especially, I don't want to say a lack of a quarterback, but do we even know who the starting guy is? Of course, no, we don't. So that run game would be nice insurance.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you there. I mean, and again, it's like if someone goes down, because we our injury issues the last couple of years, especially last year. Um, I mean, having three guys in there, it's nice insurance. So a lot of stuff happening here. Most of the guys who I wanted gone, no longer here. A few of them aren't sticking around, but that's just going to be the nature of football. You're never, ever, ever going to keep everyone who you want. And now, of course, let us move on to the signings. First things first, we'll go to the players we've re-signed. Quarterback Nathan Rourke, who, kind of like one of those third-string practice squad guys. Former Panther, I believe. And, I like him just as like a practice squad third stringer. We'll see what happens with the draft if we end up getting a quarterback, because then he'll get relegated to fourth string. But not a bad decision, not a bad guy to have in your practice squad. Wide receiver Jalen Rieger. Not the best player in the world, but I like this. He put in enough decent performances towards the end of last year, especially when half our wide receiver core was hurt, where I think he's nested himself a roster spot, even if it may just be as a special teams contributor. I don't dislike this decision. Hunter Henry, really happy with that. Got Hunter Henry back. Obviously, Houston re-signed Dalton Schultz. We talked about wanting him, but, everyone's going to want the best guy in the field. At the end of the day, Houston, having the first rights to him, made it happen. And so we brought back Hunter Henry. I'm very happy with that decision. No complaints there. Offensive guard, Tyrone Wheatley. I mean, depth guy, really, at the end of the day. Same thing with Nick Leverett. I don't actually expect these guys to ever really be on the roster. They're just kind of there for the sake of having depth players. Michael Onwenu, offensive tackle. Very, very happy with this re-signing. Locked him up, paid him the money that he deserves, and now we will have stability at the right tackle position, and I expect him to be a phenomenal right tackle, and especially working with City Sao to his left. Those two guys, the chemistry that they had generated by the end of the year was something special, and I expect the right side of the offensive line, especially in the run game, to be particularly dominant for New England next year. Huge re-signing for them. The defensive line, Armon Watts, again, that's just a depth signing. Nothing really special about that. Linebacker Josh Uche. I, of course, had Uche leaving New England in my own thing, but I don't dislike this. Uche was a solid player. Now, it is just a one-year deal. Uche is betting on himself given the fact that he did not have his best year last year. And I think part of that, too, is Matthew Judon. With Matthew Judon being hurt for the year, there was something noticeably lacking to New England's rushing play. As good as our defense was, you could really feel the presence of Judon missing, and he brought that extra edge to the team that made things easier for guys like Uche to do their job. Of course, linebacker Anfree Jennings, very happy with this, wanted Jennings brought back. Super duper happy with this signing. Christian Ellis, depth piece, nothing special there. Maybe some special teams applications, but, not a ton there. Cornerback Alex Austin, very happy with the fact that we're bringing him back. Really liked what I saw to him towards the end of the season. And honestly excited to see what he can do this year, Great find by Bill Belichick. Belichick's left us a few parting gifts. He's one of them, so very happy with that. And that'll conclude re-signing players we've signed in free agency. Quarterback Jacoby Brissett, very happy with this. Was my number one target after, of course, Baker Mayfield in free agency. Mayfield got signed by Tampa Bay, unsurprisingly. We got Brissett. He'll either be a very solid backup quarterback or even, I think, a decent starter. Running back Antonio Gibson, who we were talking about earlier. We have him and Ramondre Stevenson. I think those two guys will work very well with each other. And again, if we get Elliott, that's three pretty solid options at the running back position. Very, very happy with that pickup. Wide receiver KJ Osborne. Now, this is one that I've seen criticized, but I actually like this move. Osborne adds to the depth. He's a good role player. I liked what I saw to him in Minnesota. And, obviously you see he had his worst statistical year last year, but he also had 3-4 different quarterbacks throwing to him after Kirk Cousins got hurt. Things just kind of delved into chaos. And the other thing, too, is Justin Jefferson gets hurt. That also affects his ability to be effective because defenders don't have to focus on Jefferson, or they don't have to double team him and leave another guy open, Those kinds of injuries, like we talked about with Judon and Uche a minute ago, those affect some of those more role-type players like KJ Osborne. But I do, even though he had his worst statistical year last year, I think that's more due to the circumstances around him than him. I do like this pickup for New England, a solid guy. Tight end Austin Hooper, very happy with this pickup. I think he'll be very solid alongside Hunter Henry. And especially if we're able to, pick things up a little bit in terms of the offensive play and everything, I do like, of course, Alex Van Pelt as our offensive coordinator. I think he and Henry will work well together. Offensive tackle Chukwuma Okorafor. This is a move that I like. It is a depth piece. I hope that he is not our starter for the season, but I think he's a very reliable backup offensive tackle should we get an injury in that position, which, if you go based off last year, is almost a certainty. So I think a pretty solid depth signing for us, and I'm a fan. And, of course, you have linebacker Sion Taki. Don't know much about him, but from what I've seen, just kind of looking at it, I do like this pickup for New England. Another, good linebacker piece. Generally, we're really, really good with linebackers, and of course we also have a Hawaiian-sounding name in Jelani Tavai, and he's pretty good. So, I think just in terms of the names, Taki and Tavai will work alongside of each other. But I do like this pickup for New England. So that's everything that New England has done as of this recording, and in general, I'm pretty happy. No big-name signings, but at the end of the day, all the top wide receivers were tagged, or in the case of Mike Evans, was very quickly re-signed by Tampa Bay. And then you talk about what happened with Calvin Ridley. We tried to throw a big money bag at him, a bigger money bag than I wanted to throw at him. I would not have given him $22 million, never in a million years. I like Calvin Ridley. He's not worth that much money. And I've even seen Jaguar fans who are sad to lose him say the same. So Tennessee ends up getting him, which a lot of Patriot fans were very unhappy about. It's like, he's not worth that much money, though. And at the end of the day, the wide receiver position, it's just so tough with free agency. You can't really build that kind of team through free agency anymore. There's really no big free agent quarterbacks. They always get extended. Same thing with wide receivers. They either get extended or tagged. Like in the case of Higgins, he gets tagged. They're probably going to trade him, though, but that's going to cost a lot. You see Brandon Ayuk, 49ers wanted Zay Flowers and the Ravens' first-round pick just for Brandon Ayuk. So these things go for a hefty price. It's hard to build super teams in free agency or build that kind of a squad in free agency. For the players that were available in free agency, for the re-signings that we could have made, I am very happy with what New England has done so far. I think we've had a very solid offseason thus far. Obviously, we have a huge draft coming up. And my personal pick is Marvin Harrison Jr. If I had my way, it'd be Marvin Harrison Jr. Start Jacoby Brissett, and then, maybe like fourth or fifth round, pick up a quarterback, and then see if he turns into anything. But, that's me. Obviously, the big thing is quarterback at 3. I'm not as confident in that decision, although if I were to pick a quarterback, it'd be Jaden Daniels. If there's anyone who I would not pick, it's Drake May. Do not at all costs draft Drake May. I said it before. I will beat that drum till it is dead. But regardless, so far, all things considered, very happy with what New England has done. And I think we'll have, as of right now, a solid squad at worst going into next year, as long as we're able to stay healthy. Because we weren't a bad squad last year. We just couldn't stay healthy. So, T-Bone, what are your thoughts on all of this?
I think I got. I think I want 2 points that I really want to hammer home. The signing of Alex Austin, very underrated. Because here's the thing: imagine that pair up. You've got Alex Austin, who flourished under the Patriots. I would say he flourished. I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I would say he flourished pretty well as a rookie.
I would agree.
At the tail
totally
end of the series.
Totally
And then
agree.
you've got Gonzo. You've also got Gonzo, another young cornerback. So already you've got 2 young cornerbacks that did very well when they played on the Patriots roster. Now, truth be told, they haven't played together, I don't think, because Gonzo was out.
No, Gonzo was out long before we picked up Alex Austin.
Yeah,
The other thing, too, I want to say is you have Jonathan Jones and Marcus Jones as well. Those are 2 pretty good guys. Like Alex Austin's probably going to be cornerback 3 or 4 just because of that. And the fact that a guy who played as well as him last year is probably your 3rd or 4th option goes to show how good and how deep New England is at the cornerback position. So
absolutely.
Very happy about that.
And then the other one, KJ Osborne. I did not know people were very low on KJ Osborne. I'm a big KJ Osborne guy.
You were kind of hoping Carolina would take a shot at him.
I think he's underrated, very, very much underrated. Even with Jay Jettas out, he's able to pick up the slack. With Jay Jettas in, he's still able to have a manageable workload. And the thing is, you've got Justin Jefferson overshadowing, and that's not Justin Jefferson's fault. I mean, it's not his fault. He's probably the greatest wide receiver since Randy Moss to come out of the Vikings. No offense, Stefan. But you've got Justin Jefferson kind of overshadowing KJ Osborne. So KJ Osborne's been silently producing very efficiently, and it's kind of gone unnoticed. But I think he's very underrated, and I think this is a great addition to your guys' wideout room. I think this is great. This is the first time that I've felt like, as a pass catcher, I'm like, this is a good guy that the Pats got. I really like this guy. I mean, I was high on Mike Gesicki, but it just didn't pan out. But I'm hoping with KJ Osborne being more, an actual wide receiver, that this works, that this experiment works. Because I think he's great. Little fun fact. The Colts Vikings game, the one that went to overtime 2 years ago, a year ago,
the one where the Colts blew, what was it, a 33, 35, however many points it was, lead.
Yep. KJ Osborne was the leading receiver and the second in receptions, and Justin Jefferson was in. He was in. They had very, very close stats. I think it was like 150, 130. So very much a very close. And I'm not saying KJ Osborne is Justin Jefferson, but I'm saying KJ Osborne can take that workload. He absolutely can. So I think that is a great addition. I think that's a great step. So those are my 2 points. I mean, that cornerback room is going to be very deep and very, very exceptional, I would say. And then KJ Osborne, great addition. So that's all for me.
Yeah, absolutely, And our wide receiver room, I would say, is better than most people give it credit for. I think Kendrick Bourne is a very solid player. Demario Douglas is potentially a star in the making. He, as a rookie, led the Patriots in receiving last year, and that's with missing several stints due to multiple concussions. He still led the team in receiving yards. And I think part of that is, of course, that Bourne got hurt for most of the year. We got Bourne back on the team. Bourne's a good player. Demario Douglas is a good player. KJ Osborne's a good player. And I still think Juju did not have his best year, but Juju's still a player who has shown in the past that he can. He's had ups and downs in his career. He's had career lows before. He's also bounced back from those to have good years. See him a couple of years ago in Kansas City. So it's still possible for him to be a good player. And if we're able to get, like, in the draft, Marvin Harrison Jr., that kind of top player, I think we have a pretty good wide receiver room. Combined with a pretty solid tight end duo, I think a competent starter in Jacoby Brissett. And then, 4 pretty good offensive linemen as of right now, and the only big question mark, of course, is the left tackle, and that's a pretty important position, but, there's still options out there in the draft, plus, potentially free agency, the top guys kind of got signed. I was not expecting Tyron Smith to go for as much as he did at all, and it was a very good player last year, but holy moly. Some guys are breaking the bank to pick up players, and as much as I like Smith, I wouldn't have paid that much for him. So, it is what it is at the end of the day. The other notable move was, of course, Kyle Duggar was transition tagged, which means it basically means that we get the right to match any contract offer any other team makes with him, and then if we do sign him next year, he will make a salary of like $12 million. It's like the franchise tag, but you kind of got to sign him now instead of next year, and he gets paid less next year than he would if we franchise tagged him. I like that move. I want Duggar to be around long term. I'm hoping the two sides are able to figure it out. Obviously, still very early. I know a lot of Patriots fans are antsy about that because Duggar's a pretty good player, and he's a high priority for everybody. But I think patience is okay right now, and they got plenty of time to work it out. So, at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with the way things have worked out in New England. Still got a lot of work to do. Still got a draft here coming up in a month. Got to listen to a lot of dumb takes and a lot of interesting takes over the next month and a week. But it'll be interesting, it'll be fun, and excited to see what New England does going forward. T-Bone, got any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
No, sir.
Alrighty then, please be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. We would love to hear what you all have to say. And that is going to do it for us today. Thank you all so very much for watching. Please be sure to hit the like button. Please be sure to subscribe. And we will see you all in the next video.